Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day, welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. You can watch this program live on our Facebook page, that's Radyo Pilipinas World Service, and you can also hear us live on our audio streaming at Evox PBS Receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And this morning we will be talking about climate outlook as a cyclone that will either enter or develop inside the Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR this year will be weaker than last year. In a briefing over the weekend, Department of Science and Technology and Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, jointly said that the outlook for this year's cyclone will not be as strong as we experienced compared to last year's outlook. The OST said that this happens when there is no presence of known weather phenomenon, namely El Nino and La Nina. And to give us further details regarding this outlook for this year, we now have on the line the administrator of the Philippines Meteorological Agency, the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, none other than Dr. Nathaniel Servando. Good morning, Administrator Servando, and welcome to Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Jerome Toledo here. Good morning.
Good morning, Jerome, and of course to all our televiewers and followers of your program. Dito po sa Radyo Pilipinas.
Okay, thank you, Administrator Servando. So earlier I mentioned about the climate outlook for this year nga po. So particularly on the frequency of tropical cyclones na papasok po sa ating bansa. And also, DOST and PAGASA jointly said over the weekend that cyclones may not be as strong as it was in 2024. If we say cyclones may not be strong, the Philippines will not experience typhoons that pack strength of more than 150 kilometers per hour, Dr. Servando.
Yes, because of the climate outlook for this year. For most, the so-called ENSO or El Nino Southern Oscillation, or in fact we are referring to El Nino and La Nina, is currently on neutral condition, and we expect that during the season, and in fact can be extended up to the first quarter of next year. So when we say ENSO neutral, because ENSO actually one of the controls of our local climate, no? So we expect the rainfall condition to be near neutral or near normal to above normal in many parts of the country. And in terms of tropical cyclone activity, we expect near normal as well. Now, comparatively, if we can recall last year, during the October to December period, in just a month, there was a series of strong typhoons, 6 in a span of 1 month. We don't see that event to happen this year because last year there was La Nina. When there is La Nina, relatively the sea surface temperature around our country is relatively warm. So there's so much water vapor that drives the cyclones to intensify, more intense. So we don't see this condition to happen this year.
this year?
So comparatively last year, tropical cyclones relatively weaker, less active.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, we expect that there will be stronger typhoons because normally about a third of the number of tropical cyclones to reach typhoon intensity.
Okay.
When you say typhoon intensity, the wind strength could reach as much as higher than 130 kilometers per hour.
Mm-hmm. But not more than 150 kilometers per hour.
Yes,
Mm.
we can expect, but of course, in terms of frequency, it's relatively less compared to last year.
Okay. So, given the absence of two weather phenomena, which is El Nino and La Nina for this year, so how many cyclones may enter the country this year that Pagasa projects?
Actually, for the July to December season, we expect 11 to 19 tropical cyclones,
Mm-hmm.
but we have already one Bising currently has re-entered PAR, and we expect that tropical cyclone to uh, come out the Philippine Area of Responsibility within today. So we expect about 10 to 18 tropical cyclones
Mm-hmm.
until December.
Oh, okay. So that's from July to December,
Yes.
uh-huh.
Of course, we know that July up to October is our months with in terms of frequency
Mm-hmm.
are more active compared to the remaining months, October, December.
Okay, so with this 10 to 18 cyclones that Pagasa expects for this year, so are they going to be a cyclone that packs a winds of 130 kilometers per hour?
Yeah, some of them, but of course we
Mm.
look into not only the intensity, but of course kung saan ito tatama, no?
Yes.
During the months of July up to September, normally
Mm.
they are landfalling. Uh, Particularly the northern portion of the country, Luzon. Kung hindi
Mm.
man mag-landfall, we expect this tropical cyclone to enhance the southwest monsoon, or we call it habagat, just like what we
Mm.
had experienced in the past days.
Ok-
So
ok-
dahil nasa habagat season pa tayo,
yeah.
kahit hindi pa mag-landfall yung mga bagyo na to, but will pass north
Mm.
of Luzon, of course we'll expect heavy rainfall associated with the habagat.
Oh,
Of
okay.
course,
Mm.
even tropical cyclones reaching more than 100 kilometers per hour, they are associated with hazards, no? Heavy rainfall,
Mm-hmm.
strong winds. At ito po, and of course, sometimes storm surge, it is associated with strong or severe winds.
Okay. All right.
So this hazards na dapat tingnan at paghandaan po natin.
Okay. So you mentioned na Northern Luzon po yung pinaka maapektuhan po nitong mga pagtama ng bagyo ngayong taon.
During the July up to July, August, September,
Mm.
normally yung northern part of the country ang affected. Northern Luzon, eastern part, and even the southern Luzon. And then
Mm.
moving towards the last part of the year, of course, we know most of the tropical cyclones are landfalling,
Mm.
and this affect the Central Visayas and Northern Mindanao.
Ah,
So nagbabago, no, ang as we move towards the later part of the year.
okay. So what regions po yung mga ang makaka-receive ng mga ng mas maraming ulan ngayong Southwest monsoon season po, Dr. Servando?
Yes, during the southwest monsoon season, the western part of the country, western Luzon,
Mm-hmm.
western part of central Luzon, even the western part of the Visayas, ito po yung mga naapektuhan ng habagat or southwest monsoon na kahit hindi tinatamaan directly ng mga bagyo, ito ay makakaranas ng mga lakas ng mga pagulan.
Aha.
At
Okay.
of course, we expect na magdadala ng mga pagbaha
Mm-hmm.
at of course sa mga mountainous areas, maaaring mag-trigger ng landslides.
Okay. So meaning to say, Administrator, the climate pattern for this year po will be normal or average. Wala po tayong mga prolonged hotter months or wetter months.
When we say normal or neutral ang INSO, meaning when we say normal condition, meaning normal na for example during the July, August, September ay maulan ano. But hindi natin expect na mas malakas ang mga pag-ulan or mas marami at more intense ang mga bagyo. Compared kung may La Nina, no? Dahil na sa INSO neutral tayo. Normal na may mga pag-ulan at normal din na kagaya na may mga bagyo. In fact, we expect 10 to 18 tropical cyclones.
I see. So, you mentioned about itong ENSO o yung neutral state ng El Nino. So, last year, marami po mga farmers po yung naapektuhan ng El Nino at saka syempre ng La Nina. So, for this year, could this affect our farmers po ba who are planting crops, particularly rice, ngayong nasa neutral state na ang El Nino o ang climate pattern natin, Doctor?
Yeah, last year we had La Nina, although it was short-lived, but for several months naka-experience tayo ng La Nina-like. But of course, prior years to that, nagkaroon tayo ng El Nino, kung ating matatandaan. During El Nino naman ay may kakulangan ng pag-ulan at water requirements not only for the agriculture but for the water resources sector, energy generation. Then sinundan ito last year ng La Nina. Ito nakikita po natin na after months of drought, nagkaroon naman ng series of strong tropical cyclones.
Yes.
Of course, nagdala ng matinding mga pag-ulan. But of course, hindi natin ma-avoid yung mga damages sa ating agriculture, even the infrastructure, and of course, ang public safety, no? Dahil maraming napektuhan dahil sunod-sunod na mga bagyong dumaan.
Okay. So, for this year, so di po masyadong maapektuhan ng ating mga farmers.
Yeah, for this year, magkaroon din mga bagyo but we don't expect na yung sunod-sunod na mga malalakas na bagyo. But of course, wag tayong maging kampante, no? Dahil
Yes.
ang ating bansa ay talagang naharap sa mga iba't ibang hazards, hydrometeorological hazards, dulot ng bagyo. At of course, dahil nasa monsoon season pa tayo ay inasahan pa rin natin ang mga pag-uulan.
Okay po. So, regarding that, so may coordination po ba ang pag-asa sa mga agencies natin like yung Office of Civil Defense, Agriculture Department, as well as yung mga agricultural stakeholders po natin regarding this so that their planting season will not be disrupted po?
Yes, of course, ang DOST Pag-asa ay patuloy na maintain close collaboration with agencies involved in disaster management, particularly na ang Office of Civil Defense, in the RRMC, the DILG, of course, the different local government units na direktang maapektuhan kapag may mga extreme weather events kagaya ng mga bagyo. But of course, ang mga pag-ulan, bagamat may mga positive effects ito sa ating mga sectors, particularly na ang agriculture sector, dahil of course kapag may mga pag-ulan, increase the water supply for their crops. No, this year we expect near to above rainfall that will benefit rain-fed rice fields. Considering based on information or the data, about 30% of the rice fields are rain-fed, no? Meaning nakadepende lamang sa mga pag-ulan, and the rest are irrigated, no? And of course, ang mga pag-ulan ay favorable for the planting season. But of course, kapag excessive naman ang ulan, meaning although normal, may mga pagkakataon na biglang buhos, no, but shorter in duration, ito ay nakapaminsala sa kanilang mga pananim. And of course, kapag may mga bagyo, inasahan natin na may mga malakas na pag-ulan, lakas na hangin na maaring makapekto sa mga vital infrastructure, particularly na electricity lines, of course, kapag may mga pagbaha, nakaapekto sa mobility and of course, mga logistics operation.
That's right.
So kami po sa Pag-asa ay as part of our mandated function ay we try our best to provide timely and more accurate, actionable forecast and warning services.
All right. Okay. So, last question na lang po, Dr. Servando, before I let you go. So, this year, we are in a neutral state. So, that's the climate pattern for this year. So, what about in 2026 po? So, initial forecast po ng Pag-asa po. We will be returning to a state that we experienced in 2024 po.
So far, what we see based on various climate models, ang INSO neutral may continue this year and may extend up to the first quarter of next year. So for the whole 2026, well, it's too early to determine, but we will continue monitoring and whatever changes naman ay pinapaabot po namin sa aming mga stakeholders, particularly na mga sectors na nakadepende sa mga climate and weather information na binibigay po ng DOST Pag-asa.
I see. Okay, so panghuling mensahe na lang po, Dr. Servando, sa ating mga local government units na syempre umaasa po sa ating forecast ng Pag-asa at syempre sa ating mga kababayan po. Go ahead, please.
Okay po, dahil po nasa National Disaster Resilience Month tayo, ang DOST Pag-asa ay nakiki-celebrate, no? Ang theme for this year ay naayon. Ito ay nakafocus sa dapat magkilos para sa kahandaan,
Right.
Kaligtasan at katatagan sa gitna ng pagbabago ng klima. At ang DOST Pag-asa ay fully supporting this initiative towards being a disaster and climate resilient nation. At sa ating mga kababayan, sana po ay ang being resilient at paghahanda hindi lamang responsibilidad ng ilan kundi lahat tayo ay may ginagampanan. Sana po during extreme weather events pakinggan at sundan ang mahalagang informasyon galing sa mga agencies involved kagaya po ng DOST Pag-asa. Yun lang po.
All right. Very well said. And with that, thank you so much, Dr. Nathaniel Servando, the Administrator of DOST Pag-asa. Thank you and have a good day po, Dr. Servando.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome, for this opportunity in your program to be interviewed.
Okay, so that was the Administrator of the Philippine Astronomical, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or Pag-asa Administrator Dr. Nathaniel Servando. Front and Center will be right back after these short messages.
Paliwanag mo sa tao na hindi totoo yan.
Dahil ang totoo, yung totoo ang dapat ninyong malaman.
Nagkalat sa internet ang fake news o mali at fake news. Tinatakot niyo yung tao.
What they are doing is creating panic.
We say no.
Yung pagkalat ng fake news. And some of it's dangerous.
Sana iwasan po natin pag-spread ng fake news.
At di magpapakalat ng disinformation at misinformation ang kasulukuyang administrasyon.
Stop telling us fake news because you're wrong.
Para sa totoo at mapagkakatiwalaang mga balita at impormasyon, Radyo Pilipinas.
This is a public service announcement.
Discipline is the key. Umiwas sa aksidente sa daan. Ang pagmamaneho ay may kaakibat na responsibilidad, hindi basta mapaandar lang ang sasakyan. Kilatisin ang sarili, ang kahandaan sa manibela, siguruhing inyong konsentrasyon ay hindi magagambala. Importante rin na ating laging isipin, init ng ulo ay huwag pairalin, bagkus kaligtasan ng lahat ang siyang dapat unahin. Isang mahalagang paalala mula sa Presidential Broadcast Service at Radyo Pilipinas, Radyo Publiko, 738.
This is a public service announcement.
Public service announcement
From PBS, Presidential Broadcast Service at Radyo Pilipinas, Radyo Publiko, 738.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service with me, Jerome Toledo. And before we go, so we will have a bit of a news over the weekend. So that happened over the weekend. So the Japan or the Japanese government will export its used Navy destroyers to the Philippines as the two allies or U.S. allies increase cooperation to strengthen its deterrence against China's maritime expansion. Reuters reported, quoting the Yomiuri newspaper article, that's a Japanese newspaper, that the export plan involves 6 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts in service with the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force for more than 3 decades. That's according to the Japanese daily newspaper, citing multiple unnamed government sources. Meanwhile, Japanese and Philippine Defense Ministers General Nakatani and Gilberto Teodoro Jr. agreed to the destroyer export when they met in Singapore last month, adding that the Philippine military will inspect those ships this summer as part of the final preparation. So that's going to be somewhere in June, July, or in August. So we'll have to watch out which date they will inspect those ships coming from the Japanese government. Meanwhile, it has those ships has a top speed of 27 knots and is armed with various anti-ship missiles, anti-submarine rockets, and torpedoes, along with the 76 millimeter main gun and 20 millimeter closed-in weapons system. And the Abukuma class destroyer escorts have a displacement of 2,000 gross tons and a length of 109 meters and a beam of 44 meters. And the JMSDF operated 6 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts, which were constructed from 1988 until 1991. Meanwhile, the Philippine Navy confirmed the possible transfer of those destroyer escorts. The Philippine Navy is now undertaking preparatory steps for a joint visual inspection or JVI of the ships following the official invitation from Japan's Ministry of Defense. That's in relation to a Reuters report quoting a Japanese daily newspaper. A delegation of naval experts from the PN will be dispatched to conduct an in-depth assessment of the ships. That's before they're going to put those destroyers in service. They will conduct an assessment, either if it's fit to be included in the service, particularly in patrolling our maritime territories. And also, the Philippine Navy does not have destroyers, only frigates and corvettes, which are typically smaller and lighter armed. So when should these destroyers arrive in our country, so it will greatly improve our maritime security, particularly in the West Philippine Sea. And also, the Philippine Navy said this initiative reflects the deepening and strategic partnership between Manila and Tokyo and reinforces the shared commitment to maritime security. That's what we're talking about, and also the interoperability and also the regional peace and stability that's in the Indo-Pacific region.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And one more thing, Department of National Defense or DND Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. said that he does not mind if he will be barred from entering China in its territories, like what happened to former Senator Francis Tolentino. Secretary Teodoro also said it is the prerogative of any country without explanation to allow or deny anybody from entering its territory. And if you can recall, in the first week of July, so particularly July 2nd, China barred former Senator Tolentino from entering mainland China and its 2 territories like Hong Kong and Macau for his egregious, as the Foreign Ministry said, egregious conduct on China-related issues. Tolentino, who served as chairperson of a special committee on maritime and admiralty zones, authored 2 bills that further highlighted the Philippines' rights to its maritime zones.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
All right, and with that, we conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our production team and technical personnel, this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay, love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.